Well, we're just about to put the wrap on another successful Earth Day. Monday, April 22nd. Earth Day 2024 is about to conclude. Yay! And you know what we did in agriculture? We did our usual. We went on social media and said, hey, we're all about the earth. We use the earth to grow food for you. We're all about natural resources, etc. And we are. The only thing is we're going to have to be even more so because we have so many detractors, those of us that want to control food production like Bill Gates or the European Union, maybe the World Economic Forum, or Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who talks about cow farts. The reality is we're going to have a lot more climate adjustments to make in American agriculture. Not because we're doing anything wrong. In fact, we're doing things quite well. We use less natural resources per calorie of food produced than we ever have in the history of agriculture, 10,000 years worth of it. But you're going to be hearing more and more about climate-smart agriculture. If you've tuned into our Secretary of Agriculture, Tom Vilsack, or you've maybe read anything by our government, climate-smart agriculture, climate-smart agriculture. In fact, if you watch a Vilsack speech or read anything out of the USDA, if you took a drink every time you heard the term climate smart agriculture, you'd be shit-faced by the end of the speech or the article because that's how much it's being used. A friend of mine was just at a conference a week or so ago in D.C. and heard the Secretary of Agriculture speak endlessly about climate smart agriculture. So my question is, what is it? What exactly is climate smart agriculture? It's big glowing ideas, and that's a good thing, I guess, but also it's not really defined. What is it? You know, we hear a lot of these ambiguous sort of terms, and we say, yeah, we should do that. Well, what is that we're supposed to do? Not plow up the plains and get rid of all the fence rows to prevent another dust bowl? I can get behind that, but that's actually very specific. Turns out climate-smart agriculture is a term that seems to be derived from the United Nations. I found this on the United Nations Food and Agricultural Organization's page of their website, Climate Smart Agriculture. And it speaks in glowing political bureaucratic terms like you might well imagine. And of course, it talks about all the ways that we need to save ourselves from the weather by adopting climate smart agriculture. I went to another page and found this 98-page report, of which I've printed off page 5, that gives the 5 action points that they want us to do. I find it troubling that the United States Department of Agriculture and our Secretary of Agriculture is parroting terms from the United Nations. Remember, the United Nations has been wrong, but they also have to spread crisis to justify their funding and their bureaucratic power. They told us we were going to overpopulate and all die of overpopulation. Then we're going to die of starvation. Then they switched over to, obviously, nuclear war. That's a common one for them to spread fear about. And then lately it's been climate change, climate change, climate change. So the United Nations really is the world's most activist group, and their activists now is all revolving around climate change. We're all going to die of climate change. So the action points that they recommend are expanding the evidence base, apparently telling us that the climate change is real. Number 2, supporting enabling policy frameworks. I'm not even sure what that means, but usually supporting and enabling means tossing money or some sort of privilege to others. Action point number 3, according to the Food and Agricultural Organization of the United Nations, to battle climate change for climate-smart agriculture is that we should strengthen national and local institutions. Giving more power to agencies. That's always changed the weather, hasn't it? And number 4, action point, enhancing funding and financing options. Wait a minute. You're telling me that we're going to change the weather by confiscating wealth from those who have it and spreading it around to others that feel somehow entitled to it? That's always changed the weather now, hasn't it? Almost like this entire climate-smart agriculture is starting to sound like everything else that we hear about from large bureaucracies, United Nations, United States government. It's going to be a money grab and a money push. Action point number 5, implementing practices at field level. Good news is they gave countries as examples that we can all follow. Very successful, environmentally sensitive countries like Ecuador, Kyrgyzstan, the Lao People's Democratic Republic in Southeast Asia, where we can implement practices at field level that will change the weather. So, climate-smart agriculture. You can say, Damian, you're bashing it. You don't even know what it's all about. Well, I'm trying to learn what it's all about, but it still is pretty darn vague. A lot of ambiguity. What it sounds to me like is it's going to be justification to fling money out there. And what did we hear? The Inflation Reduction Act, in conjunction with the United States Department of Agriculture, is talking about tossing around $3 billion out here to those of us in American agriculture. Is it going to change the weather? How dare you be such a skeptic? Happy Earth Day, agriculture.